Today we talk about 10 interesting facts about Mars. 10 interesting facts about Mars. Number 10. Mars had water in the ancient past. We've been debating for centuries about whether Mars has had life or not. In fact, the astronomer Percival Lowell misinterpreted observations of canal, the Italian word for channels on the planet, as evidence of aliens made canals. It turned out Lowell's optic of its day. The canals he saw were optical illusions. They said several spacecrafts had spotted other signs of ancient water, channel grooved in the terrains, and rocks that only could have formed in the presence of water, for example. Number 9. Mars has frozen water today. We're very interested in the question of water because it implies habitatly, simply but put, life as we know it, and more likely to exist with water. There, in fact, Curiosity rover Mande on Mars right now is in search for habitat environment. In the past or present, Mars has a thin atmosphere that does not allow water to flow or remain in large quantities on the surface. But we know for sure that there's ice at the poles and possibly frosty locations elsewhere on the planet. The question is if the ice is capable of melting enough water in the summer long enough to support any microbes. Number 8. Mars used to have a thicker atmosphere. For water to flow in the past, the red planet needs more atmosphere, so something must have changed the past few billion years. What is it? Though that the sun energy striking the atmosphere must have stripped the lighter forms of hydrogen from the top, scattering the molecules into space over long periods of time. This would lessen the amount of atmosphere near Mars. This question is being investigated in more details with NASA. Mars atmosphere and volatile evolution Methane spacecraft. Number 7. Mars have some extreme highs and lows in terrain. The surface gravity of Mars is only 37% of what you would find on Earth, which makes it possible for volcanoes to be taller without collapsing. This is why we have Olympus Mons, the tallest volcano known on the planet is the solar system. It's 60 miles, 25 kilometers high, and its diameter is approximately the same as the state of Arizona, according to NASA. But Mars also has a deep and wide canyon known as Valles Marineris. After the spacecraft Mariner 9 miles, 7 kilometers deep, according to NASA. The valley is as wide as the United States and is about 20% of the red planet's diameter. Number 6. Mars has 2 moons, and one of them is doomed. The planet has 2 asteroid-like moons called Phobos and Deimos. Because they have compositions that are similar to asteroids found elsewhere in the solar system, according to NASA, most scientists believe the red planet's gravity snatched the moons long ago and forced them into orbit, but the life of the solar system, Phobos, has a pretty short lifetime in about 30 million to 50 million years. Phobos is going to crash into Mars' surface or rip apart because the tidal force of the planet will prove too much to resist. Number 4. We have pieces of Mars on Earth. Remember the low gravity on Mars that we talked about? The past the planet has been hit by large asteroids just like Earth. Most of the debris fell back into the planet, but some of it was ejected into space. They sparked an incredible journey where the debris moved around in the solar system and in some cases landed on Earth. The technical name for these meteorites is called SNC, Shergottis Nachetes, Shashagonites, type of geological composition gases trapped in some of these meteorites have been probably identified to what NASA's Viking lander sampled on the red planet in the 1970s and the 1980s. Here's another factor about Mars. Mars would kill an unprotected astronaut quickly. There is a lot of unpleasant scenarios for somebody who took off their helmet. First, Mars is usually pretty cold. Its average temperature is 50 degrees Fahrenheit, 45 degrees Celsius. At the mid-latitude second, it has practically no atmosphere. The air pressure on Mars is only 1% of what we have on average on Earth surfaces. And third, even if it did add atmosphere, the composition is not compatible with the nitrogen oxygen mix human requires. Specifically, Mars has about 95% of carbon dioxide, 3% of nitrogens, 60% of argons, and a few other elements in its atmosphere. Number 4. The early space age. We thought Mars was like the moon. The early NASA probes that flew by the red planet all consistently happens to image spots on the planet that had craters that led some scientists to mistakenly believe that Mars has an environment similar to the moon, cratered and practically unchanging. This all changed when Mariner 9 arrived and discovered the planets and Gauge and global dust storm. What more odd feature were poking out above the dust features that turned out to be dominant volcanoes? And as mentioned earlier, Marina 9 found the vast valleys, mariners. It changed our view of the planet forever. Number 2, Mars has methane in its atmosphere. Methane can be interrupted as a sign of biological activity. Microbes emit it, or even of geologic activity and active planets. Its though are more likely to have life on them. So the question of methane on Mars is one scientists are trying to figure out. The consensus there is no consensus telescopic observation have had widely different measurements over the years. A few spacecrafts have been designated to probe the element and details. The Curiosity rover have detected tenfold spikes in methane in its area, but we don't know where it came from and why the fluctuations are happening. Number 1. Mars is a popular spacecraft destination. There have been so many spacecrafts that attempted a Martian mission. This is hard to pick notable ones in short articles. NASA Vikings were the first landers in 1976. In fact, NASA the only agency that has managed to land on the planet so far. Some of its other missions include Pathfinder Sojourner, the first land rover combination in 1997, the Mars Exploration Rover's Spirit, an Opportunity in 2004, and the Curiosity rover of 2012. And this doesn't even mention the fleet of orbits that have mapped Mars over the years from the Soviet Union, NASA, the European Space Agency, and India, and there are many more spacecrafts to come in the next decade.